Good morning, Intenders.
Good morning.
Welcome and welcome back to Morning Intentions. Today is Thursday, March 12th. Thank you for joining us today and this week. And Annette, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Ada. I really appreciated what you shared yesterday about giving ourselves compassion and grace. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. It's so important to have that attitude towards ourselves and, of course, towards each other. The world can be pretty harsh when it comes to judgment, so I don't want us to bring that home and treat us with the same harshness. If we have new awareness, let's move on with the new awareness rather than using the new awareness to guilt ourselves and shame ourselves, because that's actually not going to help. It just perpetuates the cycle of self-harm, really, because that's all it ends up being. We don't have to physically harm ourselves to be self-harming. We can also hurt ourselves emotionally when we go over and over again about the things we wish we did differently. The last thing I wanted to say in this vein of self-forgiveness and all the things I talked about yesterday, we do want to have the recognition and be merciful with ourselves. And what I mean by that is when we think about mercy, if someone is in need, you don't expect them to repay you. So if we are in a situation where we are in emotional need, or we look back and say, wow, I was way off base when I was in my codependent days. I was not someone with the tools and skills and awareness to do anything differently. I was doing the best I could. The way we could have mercy with ourselves is to recognize we weren't at a state to do what we hoped we could do back then. Like if we go bankrupt, we don't need to then shame ourselves 27 years later and say, why did I do that? For whatever reason, you didn't have the money to pay your bills and you ended up going bankrupt in order to kind of reset your financial life and start fresh as you can with bankruptcy. Sometimes we kind of are in a state, and please don't take this harshly, we can be in a state of emotional bankruptcy where we don't have those necessary tools and skills. And for whatever reason, we recognize whatever I'm doing emotionally, this isn't working out. I need a reset. And giving ourselves mercy is giving ourselves that opportunity for a reset. I didn't have the skills. I didn't have that ability to do whatever I needed to do that would actually be the healthiest for me. I need to wipe the slate clean and start fresh here. Having that sense of mercy, like you couldn't pay. You couldn't do it right because you didn't have the tools and awareness. It goes along in the same lines as don't judge yesterday's self with today's understanding. Have mercy on ourselves because we weren't in a position to do anything different. Annette, at those moments, you weren't in a position to be anything other than codependent. Okay, now all we can say is now what? Let's wipe the slate clean and start fresh with new awareness, new tools, and new understanding.
I love that because sometimes we do think that we have to go back and try to at least make up for something. What you're saying is, let's just keep it back there and start fresh today.
Right. And if we're with someone who has been codependent and they're recognizing, boy, wow, I was really codependent. Along with bankruptcy, the creditors in that say, well, they can't pay. It's over. There's nothing we can do. We all have to start fresh or something like that.
We all have to move on, and they're not continuing to call and getting the payment and continuing to harass. So what you're also saying is if there is someone in your life who has been codependent and they are learning how to show up differently, they're doing their healing work.
Stop seeking repayment.
Don't throw it in their face every time you talk to them, or when things aren't going quite right, don't say, and then you also.
Exactly.
Start with that.
Yes, we all need to say, when you know better, you do better. You're trying to do better. Whatever, let's keep going. It's not happening anymore. This is the way I like to think. If the behavior isn't continuing, let's all move on. If it is continuing, that's a whole different matter. But if the behavior is not continuing, all we can do is move forward. The lesson has been learned. The awareness has been gained. What's the point of going back over and over? Now, if the behavior is continuing, we'll need to set some boundaries.
So compassion is
Doing the best we can with the tools, awareness, and understanding we have at the moment the action took place in.
Grace is
compassion in action.
Mercy is
no longer seeking repayment of the emotional debt.
Letting things go.
Yep, letting things be, letting bygones be bygones, as long as behavior is changing.
Thank you for all of that, Ada. We have a few more questions on our list for this week. Do I give or help in ways that negatively affect my well-being and my sense of self? The reason I wanted to talk about this question is that we can run ourselves ragged trying to be everything to everyone, which is a mark of codependency. But the last part of this is, do I give or help in ways that negatively affect my sense of self?
What does that mean to you?
Well, what that means is I know this experience, and I know that we have had clients who have experienced this as well. We can be doing everything we know to do, and yet the other person or the other people that we're doing them for, so to speak, because remember, we're acting from this codependent space, they may not acknowledge what we're doing. They may remember the tolerating and complaining from adult kids or getting pushback. We can take other people's misbehavior and the appreciation that they don't have and tell ourselves a story that this means something about us. If I would be better at this, they would be happy. If I could just be as smart or as beautiful or as somebody else, they would appreciate what I do for them. We start to tell ourselves a story and we make ourselves low. That's where we know it's negatively affecting who we are. Because when we give to others and that giving and receiving circle is alive and well, there's not a space for making ourselves low. I give to you, you give to me something back. It doesn't have to be of equal value, but it could be just a recognition. But with codependency, it's like the ultimate hustling for our worth. But we can't hustle enough. And we will, I believe, most oftentimes in codependency, end up feeling a very low sense of self-worth.
I think that's where the next question comes in.
Are my relationships out of balance because I give but find it hard to receive?
Do you think that there is this sense of being unworthy to receive?
Well, it can be very uncomfortable to receive if all you've been doing is giving, giving, giving. And I do think there is a worthiness issue in there, yes. I believe that we have hustled for our worth so much that when somebody gives to us, we don't know what to do with it. And in those cases, then we feel extremely comfortable and then we just give more. And sometimes we are not even gracious receivers. Sometimes people try to give and we do not accept their gifts because of the self-worth issue that we have going on ourselves.
Let's finish the last two questions and reflect on our week tomorrow. Because, of course, we are out of time for today. And today's intention is a reflection question. Do I find it hard to receive? Do I find it hard or difficult to receive? Thank you so much for joining us today. Our day is better because you are part of our day. See you tomorrow.
See you then.